This week on the Media Core Minute podcast, I sit down with Jeremy Ellingson, the COO of Ellingson Companies. This week, we dive into what it's like to hire in what seems to be a labor shortage in construction. We also dive into what technology is doing to the industry as a whole. It's also fun to hear Jeremy's extensive experience on being a leader inside of an organization that is growing significantly. Stay tuned. This will be a good one. Jeremy, how you doing today?
Good. How are you?
Good. I'm excited to have you on.
Appreciate you asking me to be on.
I was excited. We had done some work together over the years now, and I've been following the company for a long time. And the more I learn, the more I see, and it just gets more interesting and cooler, and it's fun to see the growth. And
it's been a fun ride, and we appreciate everything Media Core has done for us. Been a good partner.
Absolutely. Well, I wanted to, before we kind of dive into things, just for listeners' sake, what's the high level view? What is, Ellingson Companies?
We're a third generation construction company based right here in southeastern Minnesota. Mm-hmm. We have offices throughout the country.
Yep.
Our two main offices are in Harwood, North Dakota, which is a northern suburb of Fargo, and a little town called West Concord near Rochester.
Yep.
We've been there for 53 years now, going on our 54th, so exciting stuff. We offer a lot of different construction services. We started in the agricultural business, working with growers and landowners, installing ag drainage systems, water management systems. And now we've expanded into doing a lot of different infrastructure projects. We do oil and gas work. We do a lot of directional drilling in the environmental space, in the municipal water and sewer space. Just a lot of different really specialty things. We're kind of an ag and utility group, but we specialize in trenchless technologies.
Yep. And you do some work, obviously, locally, but you kind of do work all over the U.S., don't you?
Yeah, we have some regional groups that work here in southern Minnesota, northern Iowa. We also have a regional group up in the Fargo, Grand Forks area that works kind of in a 10, 15 county area. But then we also have a couple groups that travel all over Iowa and basically from coast to coast. We do projects in California, Texas, Pennsylvania. You name it, we've probably done a project in one of them states.
Yeah,
so
that's awesome. So kind of jumping into the some of the history, it's interesting because you said there's a couple different things that you're doing now, and then I don't think from the start you were offering all those. I'm sure it's been kind of a progression, and because it was your grandfather, right, that kind of started the company, and
yeah.
So initially, what was that like when he was starting, and what were the services? And
him and my grandma moved up here in the late '60s, and he was doing farming, and really just was struggling with wet fields himself. Mm-hmm. And he went to work for a local drainage contractor at the time over in West Concord, and spent a couple years helping him out in the summer times and trying to, farm at the same time, and realized in 1970 that he was going to jump into business and purchase his first trencher, and that's really kind of where it began.
Yeah.
He knew he needed to tile his own farms, and it was probably cheaper for him to do it himself than to hire somebody.
Yeah.
And then he started doing it for neighbors, and it just became a business.
Interesting.
And I had two uncles and my dad in the business for several years through the 80s, and they also farmed 2,000-3,000 acres.
Wow.
And then probably in about the mid 90s, we've kind of separated the business. The farming continued on, and we kind of really focused on the construction services.
Mm-hmm. So you kind of got out of like the farming side. Did you sell that off, or did that go to somebody?
No, my grandpa continued to farm, and I think they rented some of their properties out. But we really got focused on the construction side of the business. Dealing with our current ag customers, and really continued to build our agricultural water management part of our company into probably the late 90s, and then we realized that we couldn't continue to grow our seasonal business of farm drainage in the spring and the fall.
Okay.
Without having something to offset that in the summertime. And so we looked around, and not a lot of people were doing horizontal directional drilling at that time. There was a lot of people doing a lot of other construction services, site work, open cut, sewer and water, and we decided to jump into that specialty business, and it's grown into its own part of our company now. But it was a great way for us to continue to build our teams in the spring and the fall for our ag business, but yet start to diversify a little bit and keep them guys busy throughout the summer.
Mm-hmm. So when did your dad kind of get involved with the company then?
I think he started 1970, 72, 73 in there. He ran the company, still runs the company today. We just celebrated his 50th anniversary at Ellingson, so it was a really, really fun event. We've got a lot of other 10-year employees. I think we had over 25 to 30 service awards this year at Ellingson, so 5 years and over. So it's an exciting time.
That's great. So I know you're a big part of now helping run the company and run Ellingson, and you have your brothers involved too. Is there other family that's kind of involved in running of the company?
Well, one of our core values is family values, and everyone at Ellingson, I think, kind of gets treated like part of the family.
Yeah.
Specifically, I have a brother that's involved. We also have a couple stepbrothers that work within the organization too. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I feel like you guys really live the family values too. I mean, even when we probably first met and could come in and got introduced and things like that, I mean, you can just kind of feel it throughout the organization from everyone that we were working with.
Yeah, it's fun, and we feel like if everybody's treated with respect and you've got some really strong core values, that it can really empower people to do a great job.
Mm-hmm. Did you you obviously kind of grew up in the area then. Were you doing stuff, a young age in the company? I feel like all these,
Yeah, in high school, actually one of my first jobs was I was working at a hardware store in town.
Okay. Yep.
And towards the end of my high school, I was working some summers for the business.
Wow.
And when I got out of school, I thought I wanted to be a realtor. So I went to
Yeah,
school
I didn't
for
know
several
that.
months, and I got my real estate license.
That's
and
great.
was interested in maybe flipping some houses or doing some things, and so I was kind of doing that a little bit part time. And as I entered the construction workforce, started in the field as a laborer, and have held several different positions at Ellingson over the years. So
Yeah. So initially, you didn't think maybe that you would be a part of the family business, or did you kind of think that maybe down the road, or?
I didn't know.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the business and the family, and I think when anybody graduates from high school, they kind of figure it out a little bit. I got a son that's
A lot of unknowns.
graduating this year, and I think he's going to come to work for the business at some point, but he's still a little up in the air, and I just tell him it's fine.
Yeah.
You got your whole life to work. Take some time to figure it out. So.
Yeah. Is he going to do real estate as well?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Only time will tell.
That's right.
Yep.
Well, sweet. So graduating, you're doing that. You kind of come in, to the business. What does that look like when? I know through the years you've kind of taken more of a leadership role. How has that kind of changed? When was the progression of maybe I know your dad's still involved, but obviously less than before.
Sure. I think that's an interesting question. I'm still learning on how to be a good leader today.
Yeah.
I can tell you there's a lot of trials and tribulations as you grow an organization. Probably one of the biggest things that changed for me is as you start a business and it's smaller, everything's hands-on. Everybody, you can touch everybody. there are a lot of decisions being made quickly and fast, and it's really about the client and the customer and getting projects done and building your name. As your company grows, it really starts to change to more of a people business.
Yeah.
Customers still always have to come first.
Yep.
But at the same time, people are the backbone of your company. And I think what's hard for a lot of smaller companies, or as we were smaller and growing into a bigger company, is really understanding, how to take that hat you used to wear of all them different roles off, and trust and delegate and build a good team around yourself to allow the company to grow, because it gets to the point where you can't do everything yourself.
Right. Because how many team members, employees do you guys have now?
I think we fluctuate between 400 and 450.
Yeah.
Today, just depending on the time of year.
Yep.
So we've got
a lot of people.
We've got a big team. Yeah. Yeah, we've got 5 different business groups, that do a lot of different construction processes we set across the U.S. So having good team members and processes and core values to follow is really important, as spread out as we get.
What do you think were some of the key things, I guess, even in the organization that, were maybe pivotal to the growth and where are they? Sometimes there's a thing that happens and it launches ahead, of a full step, and then oh man, what were some of those maybe key elements that really just helped really grow and progress?
I think just our never-ending hunger for strategy and growth. I think our ownership team and several of our executives, have that hunger to do more, to want to figure things out, be better, be the best at what we do, be really good at a few things. I think that's a huge tribute. Our people we've hired over the years, I can't say enough about them. We've had several things, I think, over the course of the last 15, 20 years that really started to change, process. You can't grow a company without process. It just, when you're expecting people to continue to grow, it's just really hard to not have systems in place to keep track of things and help them manage things. I think we've done a really good job from a technology standpoint as a company.
Yeah.
Keeping up with that, which I think is important. We did a project a few years ago where we kind of rebooted our core values. And for years and years and years, it was instilled in me and by my dad, my grandparents. You work hard, you have these values, and you just kind of take it for granted that everybody you hire just kind of understands that. But when you get to 400 or 500 people, you can't have those conversations with everybody. And we put together an Ellingson Core Values book that talks about what's important to our company and our ownership team. And it was amazing to me how that's starting to change the culture even more at our company, and giving our team members the ability to make decisions on their own and bouncing it off what's best for the company or the core values. And it's really empowered people, and exciting times.
I sure too. I mean, with leadership too, and growing. I mean, I'm sure now you reflect off of those core values as you're making decisions on who's in the right seat, and how can we progress and promote and hire and fire and do different things. And when you get everyone on board with that, I'm sure it's easier at that point to kind of take, hey, I'm going to take this hat off and I'm going to give it to somebody else to be taking on.
Right. Yeah. No, it's definitely a challenge, and I personally have had my failures over the years, but I think if you keep working at it and you keep learning, you can put a plan in place that really works. We've also adopted for our leadership team a servant leadership model, which
very cool.
Maybe some people may question that, but we found some good partners to help us implement that. There's a gentleman that we worked with who wrote a book said Leading the Jesus Way.
Okay.
And, at first everybody kind of goes, well, how do we bring church and religion into the business? That's really not what we're doing. We're just talking about what kind of leader Jesus was. And we've sent several of our people through that, and it's I think it's a really, really great way to think about things. And I know it's changed me personally, and I think it's helped a lot of our team members really kind of have a different way to relate things.
Yeah.
We also use Strength Finders, right? It's a really good book. It's amazing to me how well Strength Finders can peg what people are good at, and helping them understand that has been really insightful to, as you said before, getting the right people in the right spot.
Yeah.
It's critical to help people understand that. So,
No, that's really cool. I mean, I think one of the things too that I want to do even with our team is those different strength finders and things like that, because I'll be reading something and it's like, well, yeah, I feel like I always do it like that, but I didn't know that's why I should be maybe operating that way, or how I think that way, or how somebody else thinks maybe differently. But it's just a communication barrier that you just need to know, hey, I got to approach it like this instead of this, because that's going to make the biggest difference, of how they're going to receive this info. And
right.
But I also love the faith side of what you guys are doing too. I mean, that's huge, especially as top-down leadership, those kinds of things. I joined an organization called C12. I don't know if you've heard of them, but Christian CEOs and owners. And it was one thing that I've always wanted, kind of, I wouldn't call it necessarily coaching, but almost like a mentorship kind of thing, and at each stage of my business, I feel like I've had that, very early on. It was just a business owner that I knew and trusted, and you get started and you help, kind of along the way. And then I had a video specific coach, but it was even out of the country, and just had groups of video owners. And I was like, okay, this is great. Everyone's got the same issues. You kind of progress past that though, and you start having organizational issues that they're not really seeing. And, I think it happened with our growth and our size of employees, but now I'm like, well, I have to learn how to be a CEO, and I haven't learned how to do that yet. So that was like a huge stepping stone for me. And like, okay, Josh knows how to, be a good person and sell videos and market himself and shoot and edit. And it's like, well, great. That's not going to take you that far.
Right.
So now with a crew of 8, I'm like, I have to learn how to be the leader of this company.
Yep.
And so it was a really cool thing. I got invited, and they're like, this isn't a Bible study, it's a Christian organization, but we're trying to equip leaders in their companies to build better businesses.
Yep.
And a lot of those faith values are what a lot of people stand on, and may not even know they're faith based, but
right.
That's where a lot of it comes. So it's cool to see that, and I feel like I see that more and more.
Yeah.
With the more businesses that we work with,
Yeah. I think I think everybody's always learning. I've been in my role as COO at Ellingson for probably 10, 15 years now. And I mean, I still make mistakes and I still learn things every day. I think what's important is to continue to provide opportunities for your teams to grow and learn.
Yep.
Right. Making sure you've got those opportunities for them to build and get better. Not all companies offer things like that. And, at Ellingson, we're striving to become more of an academy company, right? Mm-hmm. And I think it's something that people can be attracted to, that, hey, I can move up, I can advance, I can have opportunities. There's training opportunities for me. And with as diversified we are, we have 4 or 5 businesses in one. So, there's opportunity to move laterally within our organization a little bit too. So
I had an owner, actually she's the CEO of Fresh Paint up in the cities, and that was one of her big things, is obviously her people. Clients are always important, but just like you realize the bigger you get, like, our people are everything. This is our company. We don't have anything without our team members. So being able to attract great talent and develop great people, but knowing that you have to grow, because if it stagnates, it's like, well, what's going on? Like, I want to keep growing. So creating that opportunity for them in the organization with different things, or the size, or always having those opportunities for them to keep taking their journey too, personally.
Yeah, no, it's super important, and it's one thing to figure out, as you said, how to shoot a video or bid a construction project or manage a construction project, those are the things that become easy, right? It's the other things in business that you weren't prepared for, that you're constantly trying to understand and get better at. Mm-hmm. And I think just being humble and having a little humility when you don't know. Mm-hmm. There's nothing wrong with that. And as long as you keep working at, I think getting better, whether you're at the top of the company or the middle of the company or you're the newest guy hired, is what's important.
Yeah. How do you personally continue to develop yourself and your skill set in being, a COO?
I constantly work with our team, my senior leadership team, to think outside the box, look for external training opportunities. We've got some companies that are construction-based that do some really, really neat training sessions that are based on construction that we've used in the past. There's a group called FMI out of Florida that does a construction simulation training, which has got like a Monopoly board, and it's we from executives down to project managers, we do a training, and it's a lot of fun.
Interesting, yeah.
People get engaged and they learn about running a construction company. I personally have an executive coach I work with. I've had one for 25 years, a couple different ones. And it really helps me personally, have someone to just bounce ideas off of, or ask questions that maybe I'm struggling with, or a tough situation, and it's fun to be able to do that. And then I think the last thing is just communication. We all struggle with it. It's human nature. Cell phones, social media have made that a little tougher. But at the end of the day, people still wanted to be communicated with, and it's something that I think we all struggle with. So I'm trying to do that or work towards that as much as I can.
Mm-hmm. How do you kind of identify and find a business coach? Because I'm sure at different levels and stuff like that, there's going to be different people that are specialized in.
I networked with some other business owners, that had used different coaches, different people. I actually interviewed and talked to 3 or 4 before I made a decision on the one I wanted to use. I think there's several different kinds. There's more of what I would call the, construction consulting companies or consulting that have several coaches within them that they offer. And then I think there's a lot of smaller companies that are more personal one-on-one coaching. It's really about what you want. I think it's what are you looking for, and who has the right expertise for you and the things that you want to grow in, and where you recognize your strengths and weaknesses are, and how to partner with somebody that can help you do that.
Mm-hmm. I like that. One of the things that I've always thought too, and one, you guys you're doing business, it feels like it differently, and I wanted to ask you kind of, what do you think are some of those strengths or things that set you guys apart, in your organization, or in your industry per se, that you guys are doing?
I think we really strive to ensure our customers are satisfied. I think customer satisfaction is a goal of ours, every day, every week, from our laborers up to our top executive managers. I think another thing, we're really innovative. I think we will put a team together to solve really tough, complex problems for customers, where maybe other contractors or other companies will shy away from one of them projects. We've done some really specialized stuff, and I think we've got a great team of people with diverse backgrounds. We have civil engineers, we have geologists, we have guys that have been in construction for 30 plus years. We got guys that have, drilled outside of this country from a horizontal directional drilling standpoint. We've got fabricators in our shop that make really cool stuff for our our drainage equipment. And,
don't have it, build it.
We don't have it figured out. We've custom built a lot of stuff. One of the other owners on our team is very, very sharp and smart when it comes to equipment and building stuff. So I really think innovation is a big thing that sets us apart. And then I think technology. We've been digital field reporting for over 10 years with iPads. I think some companies are still on paper, and we're building BI dashboards, and we have a GIS team to help track our construction projects, and we're writing apps for some of our parts of our company. So we've got a pretty robust IT team, and I think that's probably something else that helps keep us on the cutting edge and makes us more efficient.
It's always fun to hear, when different guys, it's just like, hey, this thing doesn't exist. Let's create it. Let's build it. Let's make something custom that doesn't even exist to do what we're trying to do. And it's always fun to see those. But I was going to ask you specifically about kind of the technology. I mean, industry-wide, how do you think that technology is changing and evolving, the industry?
I think it's definitely making it quicker and easier to communicate. There's a lot of technology out there to gather data, collect data in the field, give real-time reporting. We do a lot of renewable energy, wind farms, solar projects, and these are big project sites with windmills and construction workers everywhere. And we've developed some tools that allow us to give real-time reporting to our customers of how much of our work is complete, what we're doing next, right? That used to be phone calls and weekly meetings and things like that. So I think, technology is doing a lot of really cool things. AI is something that I think, is just in its infancy. We're playing around with it a little bit in some of our businesses, and it just amazes me how efficient you can get with some of the things that AI is doing, and whether it be writing policies or figuring out complex problems or prospecting for new customers. You name it, AI is gonna, I think, change how we do business for a long time.
Do you think? If you're not keeping up with technology, that it's almost hurting or putting businesses, small businesses that can't keep up, almost like, is it hurting some, helping others, and
I think it depends on what the technology is. There's some technologies that I wish didn't exist, right? It makes it tough, But I think most of them are really, really good, and I think the construction companies that want to grow and continue to expand need to embrace it. It's something that's always a tough challenge. We're a group of people that likes to build things with their hands, right? Yep. Or run equipment, or do things like that. Technology isn't always our forte, but I think if you implement it and use it in the right way, it can be really beneficial to your organization.
At first, it can be, like I don't want to be doing this different, or right. What are we doing? And then after it's kind of adapted and, people are using it, it's, okay, this is actually, cool, unique, different, better, and more efficient, and things like that. So you probably get that buy-in from the team, once you start, using it more and more, and it's like, okay, this stuff's pretty cool. Yep. But how do you keep up with it? I went to the Connex, in Vegas last year, and my goodness, it's like you can't even get around everywhere in a week.
Yeah, you can't.
Like how much is going on and how fast it's growing.
Yeah, and how fast it's changing. We've got, I think investing, typically in the construction industry, depending on the size of the organization, people haven't really invested in it. It's just one of them things you had to have to send emails and do bids. Mm-hmm. I think you have to change that outlook. I think you have to embrace it, and we've got a team of people that stays up to date on a lot of that stuff. We get engaged in different conferences from a technology perspective. As you said, the Con Expo this year had, miles and miles of technology stuff. I think where I'd warn most people, and a lot of the stuff we've adapted, and something we've probably struggled with a little bit, but we're getting better at, is really making sure that, when you're adapting a new technology in your business, that you're really vetting it out and thinking about how this impacts every part of your business, to make sure that, it is truly a cost savings, and you're not creating a process or a system or implementing a new technology that's adding another person over here to get it set up to use the technology, right? I mean, it's I think just making sure you do a good evaluation before you implement something is the key, and making sure you're getting that return on investment. And
yeah. I think we've even been in a spot where we've probably jumped the gun on certain things that we've bought, even equipment wise and technology wise, and it's fun as anybody. There's the newest, shiniest toy and piece of equipment and anything like that, and we bought one of the top of the line drones out there, and it was like, we had the second generation of it, and this was the third, but did we need the third immediately when the second was actually pretty good, but it was like, let's jump on that. But it is hard to sometimes go, let's look at everything here, and maybe this isn't the first place that we need to spend the money, or making sure that if we do, then we're going to be able to implement it, and it's going to do all that stuff. So it is kind of one of those things. How can you 360 view a purchase and go, let's make sure this is right.
Yep.
We're going to be able to use this. And
just like anything, I think a little planning up front, due diligence, and making sure you think through it will help you make better decisions. I think we have a drone too. I'm not sure how many times we've used it, but it's probably in the same boat.
Right.
Yeah, I'm sure you're using yours way more than we are. But we do have some other cool technologies that we've bought recently that are really neat, and we are using them. So take the wins with the losses, I guess.
Yeah.
So.
It's fun. I was actually, just a random story. I was talking to a guy, and he was owns a gym, and they had pipes that were getting old, and he's talking about the issues that's causing, and the construction that they're having to stop operations and tear up all this stuff to get down there. And before working with you, I wouldn't have known about all this. Well, yeah, have you ever thought about this? And technically you didn't have to maybe dig up everything. You could have shot a liner through or done something. It's funny. I'm like talking about this stuff. I'm like, why do I know this stuff? Just random things that you pick up, and it was fun. But I was like, yep, that was Ellingson that I learned that from.
Yeah. I think that's a really neat technology we've developed over the last several years is our infrastructure management. It's some really cool stuff. We've done projects all over the U.S. for a lot of large clients. We work for Miller Coors, General Growth Properties, Hormel, Nestle, people like that. And I think we've done some work down here for Mayo Clinic and would like to do more. And it's just a super neat, non-invasive technology, as you said, when you need to repair a pipe or rehab a pipe and you don't want to shut production down or tear the floor up. We got a solution for you. So.
These guys will lose, crazy money on downtime. So it's it's just, to have new technology and things like that. Because, even how new is stuff like that, in the last couple of years that.
Yeah. It's, some of that lining technology has been around for probably 20 plus years, but it's the curing technologies is changing, and there's a lot of new applications that make it cleaner and faster and really make it more efficient and accessible, especially to areas like plants or food processing or healthcare facilities that can't be shut down or have limited areas to work in and things like that. So.
Has that same technology, though, because the other thing that I think you guys are doing that was interesting, too, was like, how can you actively see what's going on underground, Because it's like, unless something happens, you don't really know what's happening down there. And it's usually, something bad that's like, okay, this was a leak, and now it's, a manhole or something like that just happened in the floor.
Yep.
So it's interesting, too. You guys proactively, help maintain a lot of these, different facilities now, because it's the awareness of what's actually going on.
Right. Our infrastructure management team, that's really where, the value is, as you said, proactively, solving customer problems, getting in and looking at the condition of their old pipes, whether it's in the walls or underground or in a tight, inaccessible place, but, giving them some sort of condition assessment so that they don't have that catastrophic breakdown where, the floor collapses next to a machine or a pool or, why there's guests at a hotel or people in a restaurant, right? We've got horror stories that we could tell of emergency jobs we've done and things that you couldn't even believe. But I think the proactiveness is where the real value is we send a team in to really kind of help you as an organization plan and prepare for that. And then it allows you to spread your capital purchases over several years by budgeting to repair your worst section first per se, and maybe work on the other ones as you can get a capital budget to do that, instead of having this large emergency repair cost that wasn't planned that you have the burden of, right? We can keep you out of that situation, and the real cost savings is the downtime. You talk about a food processing plant, a beverage plant, even a mall, at Christmas shutting down 2 or 3 major stores due to a leak, right? Somebody can't get their Christmas present or what it may be, can cost a lot of headaches and money. So it's exciting for us. It's a newer business. We've been in that business probably 15 years now, but it's unique, and we're excited to keep growing that team. So.
How is kind of playing off of technology, how is marketing, and how has that changed the game from social media and websites and, photos and videos and different things like that? Or how is that kind of shifting how maybe marketing's done, sales is done, recruiting's done?
Yeah, I think, all of our businesses, I think are adapting to the new way of marketing, short videos, quick hits, social media, that's where a lot of people get their information, and, making sure that we're delivering the right information, at the right time. Yep. There's times where it's easy, but then, it's almost like anything else. People can wake up in the morning and know where the last tornado was, or, the last world crisis in 15 minutes. And sometimes they start to expect, well, what's Ellingson doing lately? Yep. So, if once you start it, you kind of got to keep it rolling, but it's fun. It's a good platform. There's a lot of good platforms to share that information on. We got a lot of followers on YouTube and LinkedIn and Facebook and things that we share a lot of our project stories and job openings and things like that on. So it's definitely a new way of marketing, that's for sure.
One of the things that we've heard as well, because there's some guys that they would say they don't necessarily market their services. It's not like I'm going to do this, it's going to equal this next project, but throughout awareness it can obviously help. But we hear like the camaraderie, like the even just like internal stuff where it's like our guys now know what's going on more than ever. They know what the different business units are doing, location wise, around the country. There's that piece now of like, hey, like I understand what I'm a part of now more than ever, because before I was kind of just on my island, just doing my thing. I didn't really know what was going on, and I feel like that's what we keep hearing too. Is this? It's like an access even for like internal stuff. Like, man, like this gets people excited.
Yeah, I think it's a really good statement that it's making communication easier. Mm-hmm. In the old days, some used to send out newsletters, right? That's kind of how everybody tried to attack it. And I think the way things are done now with different social media, you're exactly right. People can get excited. They can learn about different parts of the company if you are a larger company, or a lot of the other things is just family members or people in the community can follow you and see what's going on in the organization, or what their son or daughter-in-law or somebody may be participating in at work that they maybe wouldn't normally talk about, right?
Yep.
So it's I think there's some great tools there, and just making sure that you're doing it often enough to keep an audience and not doing it too much to annoy the audience, right?
That's right. Make sure it's relevant, that they actually care about what you're putting out.
There's certain ones that ding my phone way too much. So
why am I following?
Yeah, right.
I kind of wanted to kind of jump in a little bit to even like the recruitment side. Even looking at an overview from an industry. What do you think has been going on over the last, I'd say 3-4 years even, of like everyone seems to be having recruitment issues of like, you have growing businesses, growing need, less pool of people, and everyone's kind of fighting over the same groups. And it's like, what's kind of your perspective on that? What's going on there with recruiting?
Well, I think, there's been some people exit, I think, the construction industry during the COVID, era, the COVID time. I don't think some of them people are maybe coming back into the industry is part of the problem. I also think that, people probably don't understand, construction jobs, what they can get paid. They look at them sometime as, not the best job, right? I got to get dirty, long hours, and, I definitely that stigma has been there for a long time. I think that's changing. I think companies are trying to do a really good job of how to, attract younger workers, show them that a career in the trades is very viable. I mean, we've got guys that are 18-year-old kids out of high school, that have been with us 3, 4, 5 years that, are making, more than a lot of kids with college degrees, I mean, just to be honest.
Not coming out with, 4 years of debt.
4 years of debt,
Yeah.
So if college isn't the right thing for you, I think you can make a really good career. And, with the technology changes, I don't think people understand also that these construction companies have project managers, accounting people, IT people. We have an entire GIS staff that works on GIS mapping in our company. We have surveyors. And a lot of construction companies have design engineers or, I mean, there's lots of different trades and job things that isn't just out working in the dirt, right, within construction. And I'm not sure everybody always recognizes that.
Yeah, thinks about the different options that they could even, do or potentially have.
Yeah.
Like when
we have marketing people, we have sales people, I mean, so there are a lot of different positions within construction. It's not all about just, being out working. And even the equipment today has changed things so much. The GPS technology has made, grading and excavating and even putting in tile like we do a lot simpler and easier. It's a lot of the equipment, state-of-the-art, air-conditioned cabs, I mean,
wow.
Years ago, we didn't have that, You were coming home with a dirty face and, it was hot all day and there was no AC and, that's changed. It's changed with the way the equipment is and things today. And
I mean, you can go online and, order your next, piece of equipment with the heated cup holder now for your keep your coffee warm.
Oh yeah, yeah. They've tried to make it very comfortable for those jobs. So
yeah. For you guys specifically, maybe like, how does Ellingson kind of approach trying to find and attract top talent?
I think several things. We want to focus on being that employer of choice. As I said, that academy company that we can provide opportunity and internal training for people to advance. Competitive wages is something we always strive for, making sure we're, at the top of the pay scale in this industry or in the area. But also I think it's about some of the training stuff we talked about, the servant leadership, the values, a stable place to work. We've been in business for 53 years. A good family values, that we participate in, but also diversification. We've got different business units within Ellingson, that are all very successful. And if you want to be in the water management business, focusing on helping growers increase yield, you can do that. If you want to, work on infrastructure management and helping facilities improve their piping, we have that solution, and so on and so forth. But I think at the end of the day, we really try and, attract really good people that meet our core values. And we do a lot of trainings, a lot of events with high schools, some trade schools, things like that, trying to get kids in young to educate them, get them exposed to what a day in the life of a construction worker is and things like that. So lots of different things we're trying. I'm not saying any one of them works better than the other. But I think you got to get creative, and really try to attract those people.
And I know it kind of goes hand in hand, but we talk about kind of attracting and bringing in the right people, but on the same side, we have to focus on retention, and taking care of those that are already here and making sure, that they're good. And we've heard the stories time and time again of the grass always being greener on the other side. Maybe someone leaves and it's like maybe it was for a little pay bump or something like that. But realizing that companies don't all operate the same and going, actually, I made a little bit less here, but my life was way better, or the people were better, whatever it is. So for you guys, what are some of those things, and I know you kind of covered them, but maybe that helped the retention specifically even,
Yeah, I think, I think visibility into growth and where the organization is going is something that's super important for retention.
Yep.
If people can see that there's opportunity for them to grow and opportunity for them to move up, I think it helps with retention.
Yeah.
At our organization, we have an annual holiday party. We recognize all the employees. That's fun to get the whole group together, and it's something that I don't think all companies do, but it's something that I think builds relationships from the ownership down with a lot of our employees, and I think it helps with retention. But just, I think really at the end of the day, treating people fair, listening to them, having an annual performance review process where they can be heard on how they want to excel and move forward, and continuing to show them that there's opportunity there, I think are a lot of the keys to retaining people.
I think part of it too is, a lot of those things too are around that culture piece and that camaraderie. It seems like the word culture has been coming up more and more, throughout the years of this needs to be a focus. It's like we can't just have, people do their thing and go home and, because if we're offering the same thing as somebody else, we're not doing it any differently, why would they necessarily stay? So it's like, people are really pouring into that culture and the who you are as an organization.
Yeah, culture is very very important, and I think having systems to reward employees, retention bonuses, annual profit sharing are all things we at Ellingson do that I think excites people to feel part of that team. Safety is a big thing in construction.
Yeah.
We do some safety awards annually. So I think a lot of them little things you can do, and I think just saying thank you. We appreciate every employee we have at Ellingson, and they're all great, and we want to see them stay for the long run, and it's just those little things I think sometimes that make the bigger difference to keep people.
Yeah. I think too, one of the things I wanted to, ask briefly, because I know you guys redid, the core values, and didn't necessarily change them, but kind of, re-looked at them and maybe redefined and how we're going to use these in a practical way. But that from culture to new processes, if it's just leadership that's getting excited about this, it doesn't do much. So how do you kind of get people's almost buy-in per se that they can adopt that same, excited, you guys are excited about it. How can they adopt that same, man, this is sweet. This is really going to help us.
I think one thing we did is after we kind of did our values relaunch, our HR team trained I think almost everyone in the organization at one point or another over the last year on explaining the core values, the servant leadership mindset, why that's so important, why the company feels it's important, and I think that's really helped spread that message, as you said, to get more people excited about it. I think the social media stuff, sharing success stories of employees or project stories, continues to get people excited about it. So different ways to try and just keep that communication open, so people can understand and see and connect why that is important. Why values are so important.
What are some of the things that you personally, get motivated by? I'm sure it's even changed over the years, because even my personally might have changed. When I was just starting, motivations were a certain thing, and now your company changes and it looks different and evolves. But what are those things that kind of motivate you, get you out of the bed, get you excited to just keep pushing?
I think the opportunities that are out there. I think there's a lot of opportunities in construction for people. It's not something that a lot of people are just getting out of bed in the morning and saying, I want to go be a contractor. There's a lot of contractors, but I think there's a lot of other businesses that there are people that wake up in the morning and say, I'm going to be a computer programmer, I'm going to get into tech because that's what's going on in the world. And so I think our trait, the trades are really something that, people need, and I think it's something that's a little bit recession-proof. It's hard to replace with technology. Technology definitely helps it, but everybody needs water, electricity, things like that, where, there's a lot of businesses that come and go because technology changes that. And I think construction is one that's always going to be there. So I think that gets me excited. Helping people grow, watching people succeed within our organization is fun. I think it's rewarding. It's rewarding for me. Hopefully, it's rewarding for the people. But I think it's a really fun deal, and just to see where the next step is. AI technology. I mean, there's just so many things changing so fast out there in the world, and the way things are done with equipment. I mean, we're talking about autonomous farming equipment now. We're involved in a project in Fargo called the Grand Farm, which is all about autonomous farming, and how can we do that, right? And it's just interesting, to me, to see where things will go and how we can continue to make them better. Our agricultural group is really about managing water, but at the end of the day, it's, how do we feed all the people in the world, right? They talk about a food shortage in 2050 or 2060 coming down the road, and how can we help solve that problem and produce more, So just lots of things like that get me excited. I think, anytime you can be an entrepreneur and a business owner, it's fun.
I think, one thing that even stuck out from just talking with you before was that element of, how we're impacting the world. It's like what we're doing in different ways. Maybe it's seen, maybe it's unseen, but it directly affects, so many different things. And it's like, you can take pride in that. Your team can take pride in that. So it's the work being done. I think there's a lot of pride in it, and a lot of guys have that. Sure, it's hard work. Sure, it's dirty sometimes, but also a lot of other things that you can do that aren't necessarily dirty. But there's a ton of pride, I think.
Yeah, it's amazing to me. You ride around with a coworker, an employee, and especially ones that have been around for a long time, and you'll be driving down a gravel road, and it's like, hey, we tiled that farm 30 years ago. Look at that crop, look at that corn, look how much taller it is than the one next to it. Or, hey, we put the water main under that river over there and connected A to B, and so I think construction is something people can feel proud about, right? You built it. it's helping someone. It's a tangible item. You can drive by
see
years
it,
later.
yeah,
You can
yeah.
see it. A lot of our stuff is underground. It's a little tougher to see.
That's true, yeah.
But most of us remember that project or the difficulty on that project or why that project was so unique. And you don't remember them all, but the ones that were tough you do, especially if you solve the problems. So,
Yeah.
I think I think those are great things.
I think some of those projects, you guys thrive in too, is the hard ones that you got to figure out. That maybe people didn't know. Maybe there hasn't been a way that this has been done before, but not afraid to kind of jump in, take it on head first, and hey, we're gonna figure this out. I've seen that too.
Yeah, we get, like I said before, we get involved in a lot of specialty projects, and like I said, I think one of the strengths at Ellingson is just figuring out them tough projects and solutions for our clients, whether it be an agricultural client, a municipal client, a manufacturing facility, food processing.
Wow.
I think there's a lot of opportunity, and as I said before, it's constantly changing. So
as we kind of get things wrapped up too, like I always want to dive into like what is the future of Ellingson look like? Where are you guys going? What's that look like in your mind?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. We talk about that internally a lot, and I think we continue to want to help any way we can manage a lot of the world's most precious resources, right? We work in oil and gas, we work in water, we work in agriculture. A lot of the things that we help improve are connecting people to resources, to utilities, right? Or managing them resources. And I think that's really what our company is about, and continuing to come up with innovative solutions that make that more efficient and better and cost effective for our clients. I also think that the opportunities that will continue to evolve due to technology are things that we're excited about, and how can we make them faster, better, quicker as an organization.
Do you think that the company will grow, geographically, or maybe with more business units, or do you think that you'll grow within inside of those business units and just keep getting better at those?
We've as an organization, we've adopted a strategic planning process as a company called Traction. You maybe heard of it.
Yeah, I was going to ask if you run any kind of US.
And we're just in infinite stages of that, and I think it's really helping us hone that message and vision in of where we want to go. I think all of them things are possibilities.
Yeah.
I think the economy. What happens in the market, where the opportunities are, what happens, governmentally. I mean, there's a lot of things that impact construction and what we do, and I think we're always going to have to be moving a little bit, right? But I think growing our core businesses and staying focused on, the agricultural business and our specialty trenchless business is really, where I see us in the future, continuing to provide resources in that underground utility, underground construction space.
There's a lot down there people don't know about.
There is. They'd be amazed if they went out to their boulevard and started digging around in the first 10 feet what they would find. So, but really, at the end of the day, it's about helping our customers. How can we provide them solutions in the underground industry that maybe somebody else can't, or is less invasive, or how can we help a farmer grow more crop on his field and continue to improve his land and manage his water.
I think just like family and leaders before you, I mean, you're gonna, as you grow, you're gonna continue to just adapt and figure out what's best and where to move, and you don't always know what the future looked like. You can plan for it and prepare for it, but it's never guaranteed. Never, you don't know, but
Right.
yeah, I'm sure it'll be something like that where you have the leadership team, you have the core,
Yep.
that lets you build upon. So
Yep.
probably in a great spot, to just fit
Yeah,
the
I think
future.
just staying true to your core strengths is what's important. Do what you're good at and be really, really good at it. So
just lastly, we have a decent amount of, I would say, business owners, entrepreneurs, aspiring, business people, and just even those in organizations that are trying to continue to grow personally and professionally. What have been key things for you that you've maybe learned that have helped you progress, over the years that maybe you could pass advice just on?
I think making sure that you have a balanced understanding of everything it takes to run a business. I think every business has a human resource piece, a financial piece, a sales piece, a marketing piece, so on and so forth. And I think making sure you have a process in place that allows you to continue to grow and work on each one of them, and not get so focused in one area that you forget about another one, I think is important. There's definitely been times in my career where that's happened. You put something to the shelf that maybe wasn't important because of a big project or a big job, really making sure that you manage your risk. Cash flow's important, right? Kills a lot of businesses. I heard a statistic the other day that only 0.0013 businesses ever make it to 100 years.
Really?
And I had a consultant I was working with that told me that, and it was really interesting it puts things into perspective, right? We've only been in business 53 years, but it's really interesting to hear how tough it is for businesses to take that leap from year to year to year to year. And right. I think the second piece is just understanding that what your own strengths are as a business owner, and making sure you're filling in around your team with the ones that maybe aren't your strengths. A lot of businesses talk about having innovators and integrators, right? And it takes all pieces to make a good organization run. And if you don't have them right pieces, that can stagnate your business. If you're more project focused, you can only do as much as you can handle. And if you're an innovator and you've got 20 new ideas a week and you can only implement 2, if you don't have someone that can really help you manage and run the business day to day, you can't grow either. So, really, really focusing on the overall, leadership pie chart, I call it. How are you making sure that each piece of that pie chart is being addressed, and the ones that you're struggling to address, put good people around you that can help you be more successful.
I mean, that's the whole, too, the delegate and elevate. It's like you got to be surrounded with people that are going to help you grow. But I think that stat's really interesting because, it goes back to just the fact that you never, figure everything out, and you're just, you can stop growing, but you're just going to slowly die, So it's like this continual growth aspect, but how can you do that controlled? Because every next level you get to, it's new problems.
It is. Yep.
It's new things that you've never faced before as an organization. There's things that you've learned, obviously, along the way that are going to help with that. But, on a small scale, we've seen that. We've gone from me to 3 to 5, and we're going to probably have, 9 or 10 by the end of the year. And the growth is exciting, but there's stuff that we haven't even seen coming that we're like, what the heck?
Right.
How are we supposed to do this now? And it's just like, so it is fun to grow, but I think the more that we're learning too is we have to do this smart. We have to be controlled. And I think some of those, that sucked. Those are the things that you just continue to learn over the years. But and
if you grow too fast, you definitely take the risk of, poor workmanship. unhappy customers, which then can have a negative effect on you also. So balancing that is also very important to make sure that you've got, the controls in place, or, the right people in the right spot. Making sure everybody's playing the right instrument in the band is, a communication thing that I've heard for 30 years, and it's there's something to it. It's important. If people are, in a spot where they're not working to their strengths, they're unhappy and can cause issues. And as you grow an organization, sometimes you got to make tough decisions too. There's people that maybe can't grow with you, right, or don't want to grow with you. And them are some really hard decisions as a business owner to make as you grow a company.
I think too, when you look at growth, it's like the things that got us to here might not be the same things that get us to here. And some of those are people, it's like, and that is the hard thing, is like,
right.
Can we develop, can we get to this level, or, are you not maybe going to be able to help, be at this next level, that, again, to face those new challenges and different things that are going to happen operationally. That's
where the succession planning and the training comes into be so important, right? It's something we've started in our organization recently, and it's a big eye opener, And when you get to a certain size, your growth has to come from the people within is the best. You can hire outside people, but it seems to me, from what I found, people that know your system, your values, your process are way better for the next opportunity than maybe somebody from the outside, and making sure they're ready for that, right? And managing that with the growth is a constant challenge, and something we talk about all the time.
You can't always just hire the experience. You need to develop it. I can't just bring somebody in that is an expert at this. Maybe you can for certain things, but
certain things for sure.
Yeah,
but when you're in as many specialty businesses as Ellingson is, it's there's a lot of industry secrets and things that you need the right people. And I guess that's what I would leave it with is make sure you got the right people on your team, and have a good core value structure, and I think again, that leadership pie chart, making sure you're spending time in each area of the business as a business owner, or have people around you that are taking care of that for you, and I think you'll be successful.
Well, Jeremy, I really appreciate you being on here, and I'm excited to continue watching, Ellingson grow and what you guys are doing, and, possibly be a part of it down the line. But, we've enjoyed working with you, and it's fun to see. And, just thanks for coming on today.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys having me out, and hopefully I was a little help to somebody.
Oh, yeah.
And, but it was a lot of fun, and, I wish you guys the best of luck in the future, too.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
And as always, guys, thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I have. Again, if you learned something, continue to share it out. Also, if there's topics or industries that you want to learn more on, please reach out. We're going to try to continue bringing on more experts. We'll see you on the next one.